what is this thing? He, him, she, her, they, them, gem, rock? It doesn't really matter. Phosphophilite and every other character in the Land of the Lustrous are fictional beings. For a series that focuses on change in the fight against stagnation, people have a lot to say about what gender these gems are. From various YouTube videos flip-flopping the pronouns, to a deep dive into what the Japanese pronouns actually mean, to even myself opting to default they, them for simplicity's sake, what should be used when referring to the Lustrous? Well, we can actually look at the official channels for a pretty clear, solid answer. Looking at the script for the anime's first episode, in the roughly 2200 words, about 300 refer to a character. This episode adapts the source material's first 2 chapters of roughly 2500 words, with around 320 referring to a character. While the anime aired on October 7th, 2017, the first 2 volumes of this manga released in English prior in June and August of the same year. The initial step in localization is the translation done by the Ghibli twins, contracted by Kodansha. They generally take 2 to 5 days for the first draft from Japanese to English, which is months before the volume ends up on the shelf for consumers. Unlike Japanese, the English doesn't really have any gender-specific pronouns for the first or second person. The Japanese pronouns are pretty ambiguous when it comes to gender, as they're usually used to display the dynamics of power within the relationships instead. The editor for half of the series, Lauren Scanlan, reached out to Kodansha Japan for guidance on this localization process, but it was ultimately decided from the English side to use the gem's name or even gem as a pronoun itself. That is the nature of localization at the end of the day. It is an interpretation of the words in Japanese into another language that doesn't fully convey the same meaning one-to-one, but close to Ichikawa's intended vision. But this obviously has ramifications, as the translator contracted by Sentai Filmworks for the English release of Land of the Lustrous uses they, them to refer to gems per the author's instructions. A prime example of this from the first episode is near the end here, where it can be interpreted that Phos is being referred as a singular them instead of him or her. And obviously there is a interesting example later on in the series, as we're getting ahead of ourselves. I mean, the manga itself utilizes the role of gender and how characters present themselves in a very interesting way, but that's outside the scope of this video. So why do I use they, them? Well, if you look at the structure of the Lustrous, the microorganisms called inclusions are what house the memories that's a collection of existence. But if you look really hard at that reasoning, that's like saying we as human beings are made up of cells that contain our essence, so we should be called they, them as well, right? But we're actually called one singular multicellular organism, so it doesn't really hold as a strong correlation. Look, the point really is, I don't really care what you call the Lustrous. I myself, as a straight male, has been calling these gems or even the cloud people they, them for my Houseki no Kuni videos, and I'll continue to do so for Land of the Lustrous. It's pretty hard not to put a, let's say, like a queer spin on the series, especially with the themes that Ichikawa goes with. But if that's not something that you want to associate with or you want to have represented, look, like, again, it's a series, take what you want from it. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. If there's any confusion when I use the word they or them, like with the official translation, you can look at the closed captioning provided in most of these videos, and it will use the gem's name as much as possible to provide additional clarity. Happy 7th anniversary for the anime of Land of the Lustrous, and let's hope for that season 2, you know? Peace.